I don't think I know of a single coach or teacher who has ever said, I really enjoy having meetings with parents. Let's be honest, they're an absolute pain in the ass. I learned from one of my principals at McBee High School, Mitchell Baker, a long time ago that you never have a meeting that you allow to go in circles. When you're ready for the meeting to be over, you stand up, and invariably the other person will as well, ending the meeting. Now, that becomes more difficult when you aren't the one running the meeting, but it can be effective, particularly if you are one of the primary attendees at the meeting. In other words, they can't have the meeting without you, and you have stood up to signal that the meeting is over. And if they don't take the hint, you announce the meeting is over to help them along. I've employed that a number of times over the years. Now, I've been fortunate to work with a number of great principals over my career. Only a few bad ones in 49 years. That's a pretty good average. And Joe Farrell at Williams High in Burlington, North Carolina, was one of the really good ones. Joe had not hired me, but had taken the job over the summer after the principal who had hired me retired. I liked Joe right away. I told him I wasn't happy with the way things had gone in the interim, like my teaching schedule not being what was promised, and my not being able to make any hires. All problems associated with things being somewhat in limbo in the interim between one principal leaving and the other one coming in. Let me know what you were promised, and I'll make sure it's taken care of, he said. You see, I liked him right away. Now, principals in football can be tricky. Some of them play the game, and they know enough to let the coach do the coaching while giving him what he needs to be successful. Now, others played the game and they think they know how to coach it. Still, others never played the game, don't understand its importance in high school, and don't give the coach what he needs. And then there are those who didn't play, do understand the importance of high school football, and they give the coach what he needs to be successful. But they also know that they don't know the game, and they leave the coach alone. Joe was one of those guys. He told me the first time we met, I never played. I don't know football. I'm not going to try to tell you what to do. You coach the team, and I'll support you. So one day, Joe came and asked me if I would meet with the parent. He told me who it was, and I knew exactly why they wanted to meet. Their kid, who had been in trouble constantly since the day he transferred to Williams, had cursed out a coach and quit after the Thursday night JV game. When he tried to come back to the team on Monday, I told him no, he was finished for the season. He had had more than enough chances, and he had gone way too far this time. Told him he could come back next year if he got his act together. So you see, after the JV game, Coach Alex Mebane was collecting all the JV uniforms. Alex did not coach the JV, but he was in charge of the equipment and uniforms. He wanted to be in charge of them. Alex was a hard-working coach, and he'd been a head coach, and he knew all the little things that had to be done for a program to be successful. He was in the weight room all day, in charge of the PE classes in there, and he made equipment and laundry his job. So after JV games, even on the road, Alex would be sitting in the back hall, making sure every kid turned in their uniform before leaving, and he would get the laundry started. Well, the kid was unhappy with the number of times he'd gotten to carry the ball during the game. He didn't get many carries because he didn't know his plays. He fumbled the ball several times, and he did not follow instructions. He was one of those guys who thought he was playing in the backyard, and he would just be handed the ball, and he could run wherever he wanted to. So anyhow, when the player got back, got off the bus, changed his clothes, he threw his jersey at Coach Mebane and literally told him he had had enough of this shit and was quitting. Alex just took his jersey and put it on the pile. Now, I'd been in a similar situation to Alex when I was an assistant at Apex, except I wasn't in charge of laundry. I just happened to be the coach sitting in the coach's office after the game in case something happened up there. This was the last regular season game of the year. We still had the playoffs in front of us. But after the game, the starting quarterback came into the office, threw his jersey on the head coach's desk, and told me he quit. I had no idea. I don't know why to this day. Above my pay grade. The next week, he tried to come back. To his credit, the head coach, Bob Wolf, told him no. By the way, we sprung an upset over a top-ranked team in the state the next week in the first round of the playoffs. His credit, the former quarterback was in the stands cheering as loudly as anyone for his team. People make mistakes. I saw the opposite happen in my first year at McBee. My first year there, we had two quarterbacks. And after our first scrimmage, one of them quit right there on the field. I guess he didn't like splitting time. I don't know. He threw off his equipment right there on the field. And as he made his way up to the locker room, he called us all sons of bitches very loudly and repeatedly as he made his merry way along. The head coach let him back on Monday. I'll be honest, that shit didn't sit well with me. And I let the head coach know exactly how I felt, for all that was worth. But now, I'm the head guy in this situation. And I got to spend some of my valuable time dealing with this crazy kid and his even crazier parents. But Joe said they were threatening to go to the newspapers and the board, and it would maybe make this go away if I met with them. He said it would make his life easier, if nothing else. So I agreed. Now, the kid had come to us from another school in the district, where he and his parents had accused the coach of racism when he didn't get to play enough to suit them. It was as ridiculous and bogus a claim as anyone had ever made. They were using that to try to get a transfer out since the kid wasn't playing there for the same reasons he couldn't play for us. When that didn't work, they tried to use a fake address to transfer, but we knew better, and they got caught. But they eventually somehow pulled off the transfer despite our protests. I think they did it just by threatening to pursue their claims of racism against the other coaches, claims that were completely bogus. School district offices often take the path of least resistance over making the correct decisions, as all of us in the business know. The kid was a constant problem. As I walked into the meeting, there was Dad, a woman I assumed was Mom, and some other guy in a wife-beater shirt and a hat turned at an angle with jewelry hanging from his neck. Vanilla ice gone bad, if you will. So the father aired his complaints that it was all somehow Coach Mebane's fault, which I thought was a novel direction to go in since Mebane was not coaching JB, was not coaching the kid. He's just collecting uniforms. He wouldn't have known who the kid was except for all the trouble we'd been having with him. So Dad went in his claim of Alex cursing his kid. First of all, Alex doesn't curse. He's extremely religious, runs all the Fellowship of Christian Athletes meetings in the county. And he doesn't curse to the point of other coaches and people sometimes laughing at the words he uses, sometimes the kids laughing at the words he uses. So it's not to curse. I pointed this out and wondered to the dad why Coach Mebane would just right out of the blue curse his kid when he never had any dealings with him other than to collect uniforms to be washed. So then it passed to Mom with her version, which was similar to the dad's, except it made even less sense. She backtracked to the previous school like that had something to do with us. And then somehow Vanilla Ice Light joined in. And then Mr. Farrell asked him exactly who he was and why he was in the meeting. Joe cut him off with not having any stake in the matter just by being the mom's current boyfriend. He told him he could only stay if he kept quiet. Good for Joe. Of course, Joe probably sensed I was nearing the "who the fuck are you anyway" moment. Then it went to the dad again, who continued down the same trail again. By this time, I've wasted over 30 minutes sitting in this stupid meeting. I've told him I am not, under any circumstances, going to change my mind. The kid is not coming back to the team, period. Mr. Farrell has made it clear that he is not going to overrule me. Dad starts up on Coach Mebane again. He's just angrier now. I had enough. I stand up and say, we've gone around and around on the same complaints. I'm not changing my mind. I've made that clear. There's no point in continuing when I've got work to do. Now, the principal's office at Williams High School is arranged so there's a formal entrance off the main office, but there's a private door behind the office that leads directly out into the hall. I turned and walked out that private door that was right behind me and out in the hallway, went down to my classroom, and went to work. A few minutes later, Mr. Farrell showed up at my room as I expected he would. I thought he might be unhappy. There are those principals who certainly would have been. I ran into a situation years later when I left a meeting that had gone on far too long and in which an assistant principal was letting a 15-year-old go on and on and on and on with bullshit. Now, that AP was very unhappy I left that meeting. I told him I could give a shit. I didn't work for him. It's always the APs, y'all, the ones who had never played and hardly ever taught. Men, don't let those guys ruin your day, your week, or your time at a school. Go to your real boss about their nonsense. If your real boss is someone you really want to work for, they'll fix it. But Joe wasn't mad. Not in the least. He was ecstatic. Can we have an in-service so you can show the other teachers how to end a meeting that's gone on way too long? Anyhow, we never heard from those parents again. Now, if you've coached or taught, you've been in those meetings with crazy parents. You can't let them control the meeting. You don't argue with them. You don't give them ammunition to use against you, but you don't have to put up with their crazy bullshit either. I've had meetings where the parent couldn't control their own kid. I had more than one in which the student was rude and disrespectful to his parents in the meeting. Parent didn't call him to task over it. I did. Don't talk to your parents that way. They raise you, support you, and they took time off of work to come here today. Show them some respect. I've had meetings where the parents just believed any nonsense their kid told them and didn't hold the kid responsible in any way for anything. I stated facts, told the group I had no intention of arguing with the kid in the meeting, and ended it. I've even had a meeting in which a mother brought her football player in to see me because she couldn't make him behave at home. I explained to him clearly that if his mom had to contact me again and take up my valuable time about his behavior or disrespect at home, I'd suspend him from football immediately. No questions asked. She didn't have any more trouble with him. Coaches, you have more impact over these players' lives than you know. Hold them accountable, even if no one else will. You owe it to them. I'll see you next week.
This has been an Aussie production.